Miles Morales, a teenager from New York City, is having a tough time meeting his father's expectations. His dad, Jefferson Davis, is a cop who thinks Spider-Man is trouble. Miles is trying to adjust to a fancy school while also hanging out with his uncle Aaron Davis, who takes him to an old subway station to do some graffiti. During one of their visits to the station, Miles gets bitten by a radioactive spider and gains powers like Spider-Man. Get ready for a mind-bending journey as you dive headfirst into the multi-dimensional world of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Don't keep this epic adventure all to yourself. Share the excitement with your friends and family because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a movie that action and family fans absolutely can't miss out on. Grab your snacks, settle in, and prepare for a thrilling cinematic experience as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse takes you on an unforgettable ride packed with action, heart, and a web of excitement that will leave you wanting more. He later finds out that there's a machine called the Collider built by Wilson Fisk. Fisk wants to use it to access different dimensions and bring back his dead wife and son. He blames Spider-Man for their deaths. Miles is there, just watching as Spider-Man tries to take down the Collider. He's got to deal with these bad guys too, like Green Goblin and the Prowler. In the middle of it all, Spider-Man saves Miles, but then Green Goblin pushes him into the Collider. Boom! There's an explosion that takes out Goblin and hurts Spider-Man real bad. But before things get worse, Spider-Man hands Miles a USB flash drive. He says it's made to shut down the Collider. And get this, if that thing gets turned back on, it could totally wreck the whole city. Miles is freaking out when he sees Wilson straight up kill Spider-Man. He takes off running with the Prowler right on his tail, but luckily manages to shake him off. The whole city is devastated by Spider-Man's death, and Miles feels like he's gotta do something to carry on his legacy. While he's trying to figure out his new spider powers, Miles accidentally messes up the drive that Spider-Man gave him. Bummer. He goes to Spider-Man's grave feeling all down, and that's when he comes across this other dude named Peter B. Parker. This Peter is an older, tired version of Spider-Man from a different dimension. When Miles meets Peter, he finds out that he can zap out those bioelectric bursts called Venom Blasts. Pretty cool, right? Peter's not so sure about it at first, but he agrees to teach Miles if he helps him nab some data to make a new drive. Together, they sneak into Wilson's research place, and that's when Miles realizes he can turn invisible. Talk about a surprise. Things get real intense when this mad scientist, Olivia Octavius, shows up. She figures out that Peter's gonna die if he stays in their dimension, and then they all start running like crazy through the lab and the woods, with Octavia hot on their heels. But just when it seems like they're done for, they get saved by this girl named Gwen Stacy. She's another Spider-Woman from a different dimension. Talk about a lucky break. After that, they go see Spider-Man's aunt, May Parker, who's taking care of a bunch more spider people from other dimensions. There's Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham. But here's the thing, all of them are getting worse. Like they're falling apart or something. Miles steps up and offers to shut down the Collider so they can all go back to their own dimensions. But they're not so sure about him. They start questioning and testing him, saying he needs more experience. Feeling totally crushed, Miles goes to his Uncle Aaron's place, only to find out that Aaron is actually the Prowler. Man, talk about a shocker. Miles then heads back to May's house, where Penny finishes making the new drive. But guess what? Wilson, Prowler, Octavius, Scorpion, and Tombstone show up, ready to cause some serious trouble. All hell breaks loose as they start fighting it out. And right in the middle of it, Miles spills the beans and reveals his true identity to Aaron, just as Aaron corners him. But here's the twist. Aaron can't bring himself to hurt his own nephew. He lets Miles off the hook, but sadly, he gets shot by Wilson, and things take a turn for the worse. Miles takes off with Aaron, who tells him to keep running before he kicks the bucket. Just then, Jefferson shows up, and Miles manages to slip away. But Jefferson mistakenly thinks Spider-Man is the one who killed Aaron. The gang gathers back at Miles' dorm room, and man, he's totally wrecked. Peter steps in and restrains Miles to keep him safe. Then, the rest of the crew bounces, leaving Peter behind to do something really brave. Shut down the Collider and sacrifice himself in the process. Jefferson shows up at Miles' door, thinking Miles doesn't want to talk to him, but instead, He apologizes for his mistakes and gives Miles a boost of inspiration. Miles starts getting the hang of his powers, breaks free from his restraints, and even teams up with May to create his own badass Spider-Man suit. Now, Miles joins the rest of the heroes and they kick some serious butt, taking down Wilson's goons and using the new drive to send them back where they came from. In the middle of the chaos, Miles ends up fighting Wilson himself. And guess who shows up? Jefferson. He finally realizes that Spider-Man isn't the troublemaker he once thought he was. Jefferson gives Miles some words of encouragement, and guess what? Miles totally kicks Wilson's butt with his Venom Blast and hurls him right at the kill switch. Boom! The collider goes boom too, and the city is saved. Wilson and his crew get busted for all their bad deeds, and Jefferson finally sees the new Spider-Man as the hero he truly is. Plus, he gets evidence that proves Wilson killed Peter and Aaron. Miles fully embraces his new superhero gig and all the responsibilities that come with it. The other heroes head back to their own dimensions, going back to their regular lives. But don't worry, later on, Gwen figures out a way to get in touch with Miles from her own dimension. Cool, right? So, in this other dimension, we've got Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099. And get this, he somehow ends up in the universe of the old school 1967 Spider-Man animated series. And what do? They start arguing about who shoots webs first. Can you believe it? We hope you had a blast diving into the mesmerizing world of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Don't forget to smash that like button and spread the word among your fellow fans of action and family movies. Trust us, they won't want to miss this exhilarating journey. Stay tuned for more updates and engaging discussions about the latest and greatest in blockbuster superhero adventures and thrilling cinematic quests.